Welcome to Math Second Graders. Today we're going to do greater than, less than comparisons. And if you remember doing this, we've done it up to the 10 columns before, but not up to the hundreds. So we're just going to review it a little bit. And remember, Mrs. Bennett doesn't do the alligator. It confuses me. If you like to do the alligator, that's fine. But this is the way I like to do it. The arrow points to the lesser number, the smaller number, okay? And the big part of the arrow is pointing to the greater number. But if you will always point to the smaller number, for me, that is what makes it easier. Equal means that the number is the same. The tricky part about this when we're comparing is making sure that the numbers have the same amount in place value, all right? So let's go ahead and make our T-bar with our hundreds, tens, and ones for both. And for comparing, we always start at the left. We always start with the biggest column, the hundreds in this case. So let's look at the hundreds. We have 6 hundreds in this number. We have 7 hundreds in this number. If these two numbers are not the same, we don't have to go any further. It doesn't matter what the tens and ones are, because we know that 6 is less than 7, and our arrow is going to point to the lesser number, all right? Now, when it gets confusing is when we have to move on to other numbers. So let's skip down to number 5, all right? And let's make our T-bar on number 5. Okay, on this one, we're gonna look at our hundreds and they're the same, all right? But that does not mean that the number is equal. If the hundreds are the same, we need to move over to the tens column and see if they're also the same. Okay, so in this one, in this number, we have 7 tens. In this number, we have 8 tens. Is that the same number of tens? No. So which one is smaller? Which one is less? 7 is less than 8, so we're going to point the arrow to that number. All right, I'm going to have you finish the rest of these on your own, but before you do that, let's go down and see what happened with Puzzled Penguin down here. What's the error? Puzzled Penguin says, I know that 3 is greater than 2. Did I make a mistake? All right, well, first of all, I can tell already that Puzzled Penguin did not make his T-bar. And if he had, I think he would have realized what happened. Remember that when we're making our T-bar now, we are going into the hundreds. So we should always have a 100 column, even if there's nothing there. And that's what happened with Puzzled Penguin. He looked at the first number, which was a 3. And he looked at the first number over here, which was a 2. And he said, oh, 3 is greater than 2. So I'm going to point my arrow here. But because he didn't make his columns, he didn't realize that he had no hundreds. This was 3 tens. This number has 2 hundreds, and we know that 200 is more than 30, right? So down here, it says draw boxes, sticks, and circles to help Puzzled Penguin. Puzzled Penguin does not understand this concept, and so they want us to draw it out in pictures. So 35 would look like this. 10, 20, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whereas 245 would look like this. 100, 200, 10, 20, 30, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 245. If you drew the picture or you made it into a T-bar, you could easily tell that there are no hundreds in this number. And as soon as you see that, you would know that this number is smaller, and that's where you would point your arrow. Let's go on to the back of the page. We're going to try a couple of these together, and then I'm going to have you do the rest on your own. Let's look up at this first one, number 12. Let's make our T box with our hundreds, tens, and ones. We need to make a 100 spot, even though there's not 100 there. Otherwise, we could get confused about that. In this number, we have 600. How many hundreds do we have over here? 0. So we know that this is the smaller number. Okay, let's try one more. Trying to find another tricky one. Let's try this one. Hundreds, tens, ones. Hundreds, tens, ones. All right. How many hundreds over here? 0. How many hundreds over here? 3. We know this is the smaller number. All right. So boys and girls, when you're comparing numbers, make sure that you look and see whether they are in the hundreds, the tens, or even down here, only the ones. Okay. This does not mean 900. These are hundreds. These are tens. That is only 9 ones. Okay, add or subtract within 100. You can do this just by counting on your fingers or a number line if you want to, when they're written horizontally like this and there's just a single digit number. Or you can line it up and do it the regular way. Okay? Do you remember how to add when there are when you have to carry over? Let's look at number 29 really quick and do it together, okay? 7 plus 3, 10. 0 ones, I'm going to bring them down. I'm going to carry my 10 over. 2 plus 1 is 3, and 7 more, 10. All right? Make sure that if your numbers do not equal 10, remember you do not carry over. You only carry over if you have 10 or more. All right, let's go on and review our subtraction. Oh, let's review this one with zeros because this always confuses us. Okay, we're going to do this one together. We have 0 ones. Can we take away 2? No. What do we need to do? Go next door and get 10 more. Uh-oh, there aren't any. Now what do we do? Go next door and get 100 more. So we're going to borrow 100. We're going to break that 100 apart. If we take that away, there's going to be 0 hundreds left, right? I'm going to make my columns here. Now I'm going to take that 100 that I took away. I'm going to put it in my tens column. 10 tens is the same as 100. 10 tens is the same as 100. Now I can borrow from that 10. That's going to leave me 9 tens left. I'm going to take that 10 I borrowed and bring it over to the ones. And 10 ones equals 10. If I have 10, I can take away 2. If I take away 2, that's going to leave me 8. Now remember, I only have 9 tens left. 9 tens, I'm going to take away 5 tens. That leaves me 4 tens. I have 0 hundreds. I don't need to write that down, and my answer is 48. Be really careful because as you can see right here, 8 is more than 5. If the number on top is bigger, you do not need to borrow. You're just going to go straight down and subtract. Good luck, boys and girls. Finish both sides of this paper, and I will put it up for correction tomorrow. See you then.